Yes. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Rashi. I have been a student of NLU Rachi, graduated in 2020, and I am a native of Dhanbad, Jharkhand state. And since 2021, I have been preparing for Judicial Services Examination, and this is my second interview overall and first in Bihar Judiciary.
Okay. Okay. So you have mentioned that you have studied from NLU Ranchi,
Yes, sir.
right, in 2020.
Yes.
So why you have taken law as an option after your 12th?
I took law as an option. At that time, I was clueless about my background was science, but
Mm-hmm.
I was clueless about law. Many did not know law at that juncture. That CLAT
Mm-hmm.
is a uh, prestigious examination, entrance examination. I took it. I
Mm-hmm.
took CLAT because law is also an interesting subject for anyone. But can it be a career? Can a career be made out of law? That was something I thought, and my um, uncle motivated me for it because I was clueless. And when I started studying in NLU Ranchi, that was a prestigious moment for me. And after I completed, I thought I loved reading law. I loved applying the legal principles to the real life incidents. And I thought I could make a career out of it. But when I had to choose between advocacy and judiciary, both are prestigious in itself. But I thought the justice oriented approach that this post requires, I think I have it in me and I can inculcate more. And I loved reading law. That was the most important thing.
Okay. All right. Uh, I'll come to that part later, that why judiciary, right? And one question that since you have been brought up in Jharkhand, so what is the peculiarity of Jharkhand?
The peculiarity of Jharkhand is its local culture.
Mm-hmm.
The peculiarity of Jharkhand is its local culture. Apart from MS Dhoni, which has brought Jharkhand in the map, the
Mm-hmm.
local culture, the movement, the Adivasi movement is sought as one of the first independence revolts. So we have a huge culture in itself, and that is the basic thing that distinguishes Jharkhand from the rest of the states of India.
Okay. That's the only peculiarity thing of Jharkhand.
That is the most, and apart from that, the resources and the hill stations, those are
What kind of
something.
resource?
The greenery here, like if you visit Ranchi or Jharkhand, the greenery is something you can see greenery and mountains and hills everywhere when you
That
travel.
you will find everywhere in the mountain region, mountainous region. But
Yes.
one more thing there is, which makes it apart from others states.
I sorry, I could not think of
Coal.
that one. Coal, yes, it's coal capital of India, right?
Why it is known as coal capital?
So the reserves of coal, my Dhanbad, where I live, it's itself the coal city of India.
Mm-hmm.
The reserves of coal here, the Jharia, that is the uh, basic, reserve of coal. That's that's there in Jharia, Jharkhand.
All right. So Miss Rashi, that why you looking for Bihar? Why not Jharkhand only?
So my first, when I started this journey, my only aim was to become a judge. I
Mm-hmm.
don't actually put a preference in any of the states. I wanted to serve as a judge.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever opportunity I could get, I encashed it. And here I am putting all the failures and successes behind. Here I am. Bihar came before Jharkhand. Jharkhand notification was after Bihar. So it doesn't really matter to me which state I get into. What matters to me is to become a judge.
Okay. All right. And Rashi, tell me that considering you as a woman, right? And while a candidate is in the services, there is a lot of resources that we put on that person, right? That there will be a training program, right? So a lot of resources will be there. But considering a woman into services, they are also having some obligatory things, that is matrimonial obligations. So after this thing, you will how you going to manage it? That most of the people sometimes they leave due to fulfilling their matrimonial obligations. So why should we choose you?
So because apart, irrespective of my gender, I have worked really hard to get this post, irrespective of my gender. Having said about gender, not only after marriage, before marriage also, since the beginning of our birth, there
Hmm.
has been problems that is distinguishable between men and women, but we have still outpowered those things and have come here. If I as a woman can become a judge, irrespective of the obstacles that come across being a woman, there are many obstacles before marriage, after marriage. So if I've come to this stage post marriage, it doesn't really make much difference if as a government, as judiciary, it provides the basic facilities that caters only to the women. Like post matrimonial obligation starts with birth of the children, right? So the government can provide creches for the uh, uh, little ones, so that the women do not have to leave their job to cater to their children. They can bring creches to their chambers and work simultaneously. This can be done. So not only the women can do this thing, the government has to support the women, because basic our biological differences are like this only. So we can why do we have to choose one thing? We can balance both the things if some facilities are provided to us that caters to our biological difference.
Okay, all right. Okay. So suppose that you have become a judge, right? And in a very uh, after 2 months or 3 months of your position, after all the training, you have been posted to some tribal area, right? And over there, suppose there is a gangster who is very dangerous, right? And his matter is listed before you. आपके सामने वो मैटर आता है, और एक दिन पहले उसकी बेल का मैटर आता है, और एक दिन पहले आपके उस एक कॉल आता है रात को अराउंड 1 p.m. 1 a.m. राइट? एंड दैट कॉल इज फ्रॉम दैट पर्सन ओनली, एंड ही सेज कि मैडम, मेरा मैटर लगा हुआ है, बेल है, आपकी फैमिली है, आप देख लीजिएगा, एंड ही हैंग अप. व्हाट यू विल बी डूइंग? व्हाट विल बी योर पोजीशन?
So, as a law abiding citizen, I will not give in. But obviously, as a human being, I'll get scared for my life, for my family's life. So, at max, I can do is to inform my superior officer that this and this has happened. I have been getting scary threats. So, I will inform it to my superior, or I will write letters to the government, to the executive. This is the max I can do. And apart from that, I don't think I can give in to a gangster just because I am getting threats. I can ask for protection from the government that I am getting threats. My family is in.
Will you be scared?
I will be scared as a human being. I will be scared, not only for
will
myself but my family's life also.
will that affect your decision?
It will not. My basic nature is not to get affected by. I cannot do injustice based on my personal fear. That is something that is inculcated from the very birth of a person. So
Why
that
judges are
cannot.
considered as god?
Yes, sir.
Why judges are considered as god?
Judges are considered as god because it can make or break your future. If a person, yes, if a person has come accused in the court, it can either put him behind the bars for years or can make him go scot free. It's the judges who can do it.
All right. So, Rashi, what are your areas of interest in law?
So my area of interest is Indian Contract Act. I love reading contracts and applying contracts. I like criminal law also, IPC.
What could be the reason that why IPC was not there in Bihar judiciary?
So maybe because in lower courts, it's The amount of punishment that can a lower civil judge can award, it's maybe because of that. It's not applied that much. Only the criminal procedure is applied. Like how many term of I'm so sorry sir, I'm not very clear on this area why it is
Okay,
not in Bihar.
okay. So tell me, what do you understand by the term subsequent voidability?
So subsequent voidability has been it means that once when the contract is made, it was not voidable. It was enforceable by law. In the beginning, it was enforceable by law. It was a valid contract. But post some intervening factors, it becomes voidable at the option of one of the parties. So some factors have happened, like there's some might be some physical impossibility or practical impossibility or legal impossibility that makes the contract unenforceable. And then it is known as subsequent voidability. Post the formation of the contract, some intervening factors
Can you
appear.
give me some examples?
One of the examples that I can think of is Section 56 of Indian Contract Act.
So is
Like
it voidability or
it's
void?
void.
How it is linked with it?
No, that is not subsequent voidability. So, to my limited knowledge, if I may, uh, if a contingent contract has been made uh, based on some future event, that the contract will
And if
become
that
enforced,
condition is not fulfilled, whether that contract becomes voidable or void contract,
it's become void.
then my next question, that whether Muslim nikah is a contract.
There has been a debate on this particular topic. Uh,
Mhm.
like, for example, in Abdul Qadir versus Salima, Justice Mahmood has said that Muslim marriage is wholly a contract because there is the requisites of a contract is present in a Muslim marriage, ranging from offer to consideration, everything is there. But in another case, I am not able to recall the name. It's Shoharat. I am not able to fully recall the name. It has been said that it is a sacrament also because the Islamic verses, the Quranic verses are being recited therein. In a contract, no verses are recited, but in Muslim marriage,
What
Quranic
all
verses are recited.
elements of contract is not present in Muslim nikah?
Offer and acceptance is there, but consideration, when we talk about consideration, it's not there. Meher has been said aside as one of the consideration, but it is not a consideration in true sense. So consideration is absent.
Apart from consideration.
Apart from consideration, in a contract, the legal age of a party is 18 years based on Indian Majority Act of 1875. But for a Muslim marriage, even if puberty is the real age to get married. 15 years, a person can get married if he or she is 15 years of age. Legal marriage.
Whether what is the legal age in India to be marriage, to go for marriage?
So for men, it is 21, and for women, it is 18 years.
And if it is a Muslim person who is having a puberty and they can go for marriage, what offense they are committing?
If they are getting married under Islamic law,
Mhm,
Islamic Muslim marriage,
mhm.
then there is no offense if you are
There
getting
is no
married.
offense.
If
Prohibition of
it's
children.
now it is voidable. It is voidable based on Children's Marriage Act. But if Muslim marriage is conducted, then it is not void under the Muslim law.
Mhm.
Under the personal law, it is not void.
Okay, okay. What is doctrine of halala?
Doctrine of halala, it has been held to be discriminatory for women. It says that once a party has been divorced, then they both cannot remarry unless the wife gets married to some other person, consummates it, and then get divorced, and then the wife is free to
On
get
what
married to
grounds
her.
it is discriminatory?
It is discriminatory because it first of all it caters only to the women. Like
Mhm.
she has to get married to the other man and gets consummated, and then only she is free to get married to her first husband. And also because it doesn't make sense in a democratic equal society, egalitarian society. It doesn't make sense that why you have to go to through another marriage and then get it consummated to be free to get married to whoever you want to. It doesn't really make sense. It's putting more restrictions on the rights of the parties, because in India, in our constitution, rights to get married to anyone we want to post 18 years of age. So here they are putting restrictions on getting married to the person one wants to.
Why you want to become a judge?
So judiciary gives someone the opportunity to do justice. That's the most basic uh,
Only
motto behind
judiciary
it.
gives you opportunity to do justice,
So
not
it is one
not
of
the
the things.
nature,
No, yes, sir.
not the nature, mother nature.
Mother nature, but we have we are many people are justice oriented, but they do not get the power and the position that judiciary affords. And
Mhm.
having learned law and having learned the legal principles, this is the only post that gives you the real power to do justice. If you utilize the power in the real sense, then you
What do you
actually
mean
do
by
justice.
power?
It's a power that you can do, as in you have the power in eyes of law. You have the
Why why this statement is so famous that power corrupts people, and who made this statement?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't really know who made this a statement, but yes, power do corrupt people, because with
How?
so when you have the power, you will there are two things. Either you utilize it in the right sense, either you utilize it in the wrong sense. So if power comes goes to your head, so obviously you'll utilize it in the wrong sense. You will utilize the power for your own personal benefit, and that is not what is impeached in this post. You have to utilize the power to serve the nation. But since power corrupts, like, you utilize it for your personal gain and benefits only.
Okay. You have studied Transfer of Property Act.
Yes.
What is feeding grant by estoppel?
Feeding grant by estoppel is mentioned in section 43 of Transfer of Property Act, if I'm not wrong. It says that if one represents to the other party that he has the power to transfer a property, and he conveys that property to that other person representing him to be the legal owner. Now,
Hmm.
but at that point, he is not the real owner. But once after, subsequent to the making of this conveyance, he becomes the real owner, then he has to follow the estoppel. Estoppel is put on his words, and he has to grant the estoppel to the other person.
What do you mean by estoppel?
So estoppel means that when one party represents by his act or omission or declaration to other party that that one promise is to be fulfilled in future or in present. Future is promise to estoppel and present is simple estoppel. And the other party changes his position based on that belief, based on relying on that particular promise, then the first party is stopped from revoking his position, from going back on his words.
One question that suppose there is a person who has always been into hostel since his childhood till college. So what will be the learnings he will be having?
In the hostels,
Yes.
first and foremost, discipline.
What is discipline according to you?
So discipline is being punctual. Discipline is having holding accountable for any wrongdoings then and there. Discipline is choosing work over comfort. Discipline is discipline is following the right path.
How it is choosing work over comfort?
So at home where we are not that disciplined, we choose to stay up till late in the night, or we wake up very late in the morning, and we don't follow actually be punctual. We actually don't be productive in the way a true human should be. But in hostel you have to follow a particular timeline, particular
Why minors
deadline.
agreement is void?
The minor agreement is void because minor is sought to be not fully rational in their mindset, because their cognitive facility faculty has not been fully developed. So any contract, if they make, that may go against their own benefit.
Whether it is mentioned in contract act that minors agreement is void?
No, sir. The consequence of minor's agreement has not been mentioned. Section 11 talks about the fact that minor cannot make a agreement because he is not competent in eyes of law to make a contract. But the consequences was not mentioned. It was the landmark case of Mohri Bibi versus Dharmodas, which actually held that any agreement with a minor is void ab initio.
I'll give you a situation. Suppose that there is a person who has himself voluntarily intoxicated in a party. Okay. And he
Voluntarily.
voluntarily, voluntarily intoxicated. And after the level of intoxication, he was not in his senses. And he picked up a wallet which does not belongs to him. He picked up and he kept it in his pocket. That is there in the CCTV footage. And in the next morning, that the report was filed for the stolen wallet, and the wallet was procured from his possession. Whether he has committed an offense.
Yes, sir. He has
How?
committed offense by virtue of section 86 of Indian Penal Code. I might be wrong for this section, but it says that if the person who is voluntarily intoxicated, that person is to be deemed to be a sane person in eyes of law. That person who has voluntarily intoxicated himself will be treated as a sane person in eyes of law because the uh, uh, disability that has been caused is caused by himself only. So he'll not get the benefit of the exception, and he'll be liable to be for theft.
What is vicarious liability?
Vicarious liability means a liability which is put on the principal because of the agent, for which is put on a person because of the person that represented him.
Can you give me some examples?
Yes, so that, for example, the master-servant relationship, it is a vicarious relationship. If a servant during the course of employment does anything which goes against the law of the land, then the principal will be held liable for the act of the servant.
Suppose that you are a judge, you have dictated to your subordinate a judgment, and by mistake he has done something wrong, and due to which the person got acquitted. Will you be liable for it, for the mistake made by the your subordinate, according to vicarious liability?
Uh, to my limited knowledge, I feel here he is not my agent.
He is subordinate to you.
He is subordinate to me, but he is not my agent, and he is not working for my employment. Master servant relationship talks of the employment for the benefit of the master, but here he is a separate official who works for the. I'm sorry, sir. This is to my limited knowledge. I feel I won't be made liable for the act of the subordinate.
You will not be liable.
I won't be liable.
There is a signature of yours on the order sheet.
I'll be held accountable.
Considering the
I
same situation, that there has been a driver given to you by the services, and the driver met with an accident and you are also there, due to which a person died. Will there be again vicarious liability?
Yes,
Then how
there will
over
be.
here that the driver is not your personal driver that has been given by the services?
Driver is driving me, working for my personal benefit. So sorry, sir. Might be I am I'm getting wrong here, but maybe I will be held accountable for the subordinate's actions because there is signature of mine on the paper sheet.
Okay, okay, all right. So what is forgery, Rashi?
So forgery is defined under section 463 of Indian Penal Code 1860. It says that when a person forges makes a false document by putting on a false signature or antedating it or post-dating it, then this is a forgery.
Okay. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So you have studied the procedural laws also.
Yes.
Why do we have a procedural law?
So procedural laws, there are substantive laws and there are procedural laws. Substantive laws tells the rights and duties of the parties, but how those rights and duties will be implemented and how it will be effected is provided under the procedural laws. It
You
makes
have
the
gone through the
maximum,
new procedural law also.
sir, little bit,
Why little
not.
bit? It is almost a year.
Yes, sir, it's almost a year, but I am just revising
I
my
believe
old
that you are
arts only.
aware that whatever offense committed after 1st of July, that should be dealt with the new laws, right? So why you have all right, I'll not go to that extent. So whatever you have studied in the new law, can you give me some differentiation between the new law and the old law?
Yes, so for example, the most famous is most famous no. For example, in IPC, there has been inclusion of a new form of punishment, that is the community service.
What could be the rationale behind it?
So the rationale behind it is our the reformatory approach of punishment that we follow, the reformatory theory of punishment that we follow in our Indian judicial system. There
What
is
is
a
reformative
perception.
theory? And there are other theories also. Can you tell me about those theories?
Yes, so
Excuse
there
me.
are deterrent theory, there reformative, there retributive, there rehabilitative, and there is the inclusion of all of the theories.
Hmm.
So we follow the reformatory and rehabilitative approach of punishment. We feel that a criminal is not a criminal born criminal. He can be rehabilitative back into the society. He can be reformed if proper guidelines and proper punishments are provided. So we don't follow the principle an eye for an eye or a nose for a nose. We follow the fact that yes, it has been committed, a person has committed wrong, but there is a possibility. If there is a possibility for that punishment, that person to be reformed, then the judiciary works in that
What is
favor. So
pardon? What is pardon? What is respite?
the pardon and respite is granted by the appropriate government or president and
What is
governor.
the difference between pardon and respite? Commutation.
Pardon, to my limited knowledge, I mean, I feel commutation is the uh, commuting of a punishment, a higher punishment, graver punishment to a lower punishment. For example, death sentence to be commuted to life sentence. Rigorous imprisonment will be commuted to simple imprisonment. This is commuting. Respite is, to my limited knowledge, it means giving respite to the criminal by shortening the term of imprisonment,
And
and pardoning is completely pardoning that person.
okay, okay. When can a person go for pardon?
Uh, for example, in Indian Constitution Act, this has been under Section 70, under Article 70. I'm not able to recall the exact article, but the president or the governor can grant pardon where the person is sentenced for death penalty, death sentence, and that person can
On what
plead
basis
the.
a pardon can be granted?
There's no straitjacket formula for that, but the president or the government can grant if, for example, the accused is a one-time aggressor, or the past antecedents of the accused is something that can be that he can be given benefit of doubt.
What is curative petition?
Curative petition has been expounded by Ashok Hurra versus Rupa Hurra case. It says that, if I'm not wrong, if I'm saying the correct name, it says that when a person has been sentenced to death or sentenced to death, then that person can petition before the president for pardoning. after
So
every
you are saying
recourse
that
in
petition of pardon is a curative petition?
no,
Then what it is?
I am not sure, sir. But all I know about curative petition is the fact that after all the recourses in the Indian judiciary is over and there are no recourse left for the accused, he can present a curative petition in front of the president if he is undergoing death penalty.
You are saying that curative petition will be filed before the President of India, not to the Honorable Supreme Court.
No,
Curative petition is not filed in the Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not able to recall exactly.
What is PIL?
The PIL is public interest litigation.
Why
It is
why it is there?
there because it is there most basically to do social justice. Not everyone can afford to go to the court. Having recognized this fact, Honorable Justice P.N. Bhagwati has expounded this very principle that judiciary there has to be distributive justice. Justice should reach to the door of every citizen of this country, and for this particular fact that many downtrodden people cannot go to the court, any public spirited person on behalf of that person, poor person or disabled person, can come to the court for uh, enforcing of the rights of that downtrodden person, underprivileged person.
What is reciprocating territory?
Reciprocating territory means any territory that has been notified by the central government in the official gazette, that we have a reciprocal relationship with that particular
What
country.
type of foreign judgment can be directly executed in India?
Foreign judgment that follows the points specified in section 13 of CPC. The
What is
exceptions that
foreign judgment?
foreign judgment is a judgment that has been pronounced by a court outside of India, not established by the central government.
Okay. And what is nudum pactum?
Nudum pactum, I have read this, but I am not able to recall. To my limited knowledge, it means any deed or any agreement uh, that is without consideration,
Are you sure?
which is which is without consideration and not valid.
Without consideration or without knowledge?
Without knowledge. I have read this on the matter of mistake, on the subject of mistake, where this can be used as a defense for the person, for the old person who have not exactly read the agreement, what it is, but
What is
some
strict
person has.
liability?
So strict liability means that whenever any person brings to his land any dangerous uh, product or any dangerous activity is done in his land, then he is held responsible for any consequences of that activity.
Can you give me some case laws or some examples of strict liability offense?
Yes, so if I open a mine in my land here,
When a what?
open a mine,
Open a mine.
I do, yes. So any consequences that happens because of if any blast happens, explosion happens, then the neighbor can hold me accountable even if I take the proper uh, safety precaution. Even then, if it goes outside of my land and harms the other person, then I will be held responsible without any defense. Only defenses are the act of gods and the fact that the other person also does
How
something.
the act of God would help you, that if you have a dangerous animal in your area and due to the earthquake that gate has been unleashed?
So that is why absolute liability principle has been expounded.
Hmm.
because strict liability, if
So
there was a strict
you have
liability,
mentioned that act of God is an exception. How it is an exception to this point?
so it was exception in the English law, but Indian law has not exactly,
You have not studied taught well.
so I have not revised it well.
I'm sure you are aware that this is your interview, right? Anyways, what all subjects you have revised well?
So I've revised all the subject apart from Provincial Courts Act.
Okay, okay. And you have studied company law. It
It
was
was
not
not.
there in your optional subject, but that might be there in your uh, college. I mean, in your LLB,
It was. So
right?
I know the basics. I don't know the exact section and all.
Okay. So why, again, my same question is that you why you want to become a judge apart from other answers which you have given?
So I feel my basic nature is justice driven, and I love applying law to the legal principles.
Basic
To the
nature is justice driven. What do you mean by this?
yes. So ha, being a lawyer, being a law student, we read all of the cases, real incidents that happens, and I try to point out the issues and the ratio that can be granted, pronounced by the court. So being a judge is
How
to,
emotions plays a role in delivering a justice?
so it does play a role. A human being is born with emotions, but as a judge, one has to have control over their emotions. He or she cannot pronounce a judgment based on his or her emotions, but only based on the facts or evidence that comes before him.
Are you aware about the recent fact that Honorable Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has unveiled a statue of Lady Justice, right? What all changes you have perceived?
Major change is that the blindfold has been removed from the
Mhm.
Lady Justice, and now
Give me
instead
two
of
points that why it should be there and why it should not be there.
why it should be there is because since 75 years of independence, we have been following the principle that our Lady Justice is blind, blind as to the fact that there is no rich or poor, powerful or weaker in front of law. So there is a blindfold based for this very reason that she will not discriminate. If a person is powerful, she will not
Now
discriminate. And
there are the chances of discrimination after removing the blindfold.
now the total concept has been changed. Now, as per Honorable Justice CJI, it is because now it will not discriminate. Now the eyes have been opened. So, according to him, now the law will see to everything. Law will
The
not be
richer will
blind.
get the justice, the poor will not get the justice.
Based on the fact, based on the concept that we have been using since 75 years of independence, this can be one of the uh, explanation. But the Honorable DY Justice Chandrachud says otherwise. He does not actually compares the two philosophies that we have been using since 75 years of independence and now.
What is the other change you have gone through, perceived?
Instead of sword, the Lady Justice is holding constitution
What could be the
book,
rationale behind it?
that we are driven by the constitution of country. It is the only grand norm of the nation that the law follows.
Who has given this theory of grand norm?
Kelson,
Kelson was from which school?
positive analytical school.
What is the main concept of analytical school?
The main concept of analytical school is that there is a law, and the reason behind law is there is a sanction behind law, as said by Austin, that the powerful person of the nation will provide law will lay down the guidelines of law, and the subjects have to follow the law, and if he doesn't, then there will be sanction behind it.
What do you mean by sanction?
Sanction means the consequences if you don't follow.
That is the deterrence.
Deterrence, yes, sir.
That is the concept behind the sword.
That was the concept behind the sword.
But now there will be no deterrence.
It's more
All right.
constitution.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.